which in Philippines are successful UPR, my delegation would like to make the following recommendations. 1. Continue formulation and implementation of National Human Rights Action Plan. 2. Continue concerted efforts to protect the rights of overseas migrant workers. I thank you.
Países Bajos tiene...
The Netherlands has the floor. Thank you, Mr. President. The Netherlands thanks the Philippines for its report and commends the government for the impressive measures taken in the fight against online child exploitation and human trafficking. We appreciate a strong cooperation with the Philippines on these issues. As challenges remain, we recommend the Philippines to strengthen the fight against human trafficking in all forms, including by strengthening interagency coordination to combat cybersex in the community and by securing cooperation from the private sector to prevent and respond to child online abuse. In addition, we recommend the Philippines to take immediate steps to permit abortion in cases where a woman's or a girl's life, physical or mental health is in danger, where the pregnancy is a result of rape or incest, and in the cases of fetal impairment, with a view to decriminalizing abortion in the near future. And we recommend the Philippines to take immediate steps to stop extrajudicial killings and to conduct an independent and impartial inquiry into all enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killings so that the perpetrators of these crimes are brought to justice. We are concerned about the high number of extrajudicial killings in the fight against drug-related crimes, and we thank the government of the Philippines for its engagements today. Thank you.
Nueva Zelanda tiene...
New Zealand has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. New Zealand welcomes the delegation from the Philippines to the Human Rights Council for their third Universal Periodic Review. New Zealand commends the Philippines for ratifying the second optional protocol to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights regarding the death penalty in 2007 and recommends that the government continue its support for the protocol. New Zealand commends the Philippines for enacting the Responsible Parenthood and Reproductive Health Act 2012, and we recommend that the government continues undertaking efforts to implement this legislation. New Zealand recommends that deaths which have occurred in the course of police operations associated with the war on drugs be appropriately investigated. Lastly, New Zealand recommends that steps are taken to meet the minimum standards for the treatment of prisoners. Thank you, Mr. President.
Norway tiene...
Norway has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We welcome the delegation of the Philippines and the presentation of the national report. Norway appreciates the efforts and commitment by the Philippine government to work for peace. We also commend recent efforts to strengthen workers' rights and conditions and to combat corruption. We encourage you to continue these reforms. Norway recommends efforts to be taken to eliminate extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances, and to intensify efforts to carry out the prosecution of such crimes. Norway further recommends the Philippines to respect its obligations under the second optional protocol to the ICCPR and to refrain from the plans to reimpose the death penalty. Finally, Norway recommends necessary measures to be taken to provide adequate protection to journalists and human rights defenders. Thank you.
Pakistan.
Pakistan has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. We'd like to welcome the delegation of Philippines and thank them for the presentation of their national report. My delegation appreciates the efforts of Philippines to implement the recommendations received during the previous cycles of the UPR. The creation of Interagency National Anti-Environmental Crime Task Force and the poverty reduction programs like the Conditional Cash Transfer Program, Sustainable Livelihood Program, and the Comprehensive and Integrated Delivery of Social Services Program are commendable steps taken by Philippines for enhancing the goal of sustainable development. We believe that the Philippines has done noteworthy work to ensure universal health care through its various programs aimed at making the system more equitable, inclusive, transparent, and accountable while allocating adequate resources. We acknowledge the actions taken by Philippines for the promotion and protection of the rights of women and children in the form of laws and policies such as Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013, Women's Edge Plan, and the Philippines Framework Plan for Women. Mr. President, my delegation would like to recommend that Philippines may, number 1, further strengthen the community-based rehabilitation program for the drug addicts, inpatient and outpatient for their integration in the society. Number 2, continue implementation of its 10-point socio-economic agenda and make skills enhancement programs on the basis of human resource roadmap for 2030
progress achieved in health, education and housing, as well as the commitment to sustainable development. On tasks ahead, Peru recommends that the Philippines 1. Work with special procedures through the extension of a standing invitation. 2. Ensure the incorporation into its domestic legislation of the core principles and standards of international human rights law, particularly those contained in the instruments to which Philippines is a party. 3. Ensure that the fight against crime take place with strict adherence to these standards. 4. Take measures as necessary to preserve the ancestral lands of indigenous peoples. I thank you.
Poland has the floor.
Thank you. Mr. President, Poland would like to thank the delegation of Philippines for the presentation of its national report and its active participation in the third cycle of the UPR process. We acknowledge efforts made by the government of the Philippines undertaken to comply with the recommendations accepted during the first and the second cycle of UPR. In particular, we welcome the adoption of the Children's Emergency Protection and Relief Act, which aims to facilitate the reunification of separated children and the training of emergency responders in child protection. Nevertheless, the Polish delegation would like to present the following recommendation to the government of the Philippines. First, to strengthen effort to stop extrajudicial killings and enforce the disappearances in the country. Second, to take more effective measures to combat human trafficking that affects in particular women and children. Third, to protect more effectively human rights defenders and journalists, especially through cooperation with civil society. Poland remains concerned about the situation of children's rights. In this respect, we would like to recommend that the Philippines take prompt actions to protect children against sex abuses and exploitation, increases efforts to combat child labor that very often is also combined with hazardous and dangerous conditions of work. Thank you for attention.
Portugal has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Portugal welcomes the delegation of the Philippines and thanks it for the presentation of its national UPR report. Portugal notes with appreciation that the Philippines has acceded to the optional protocol on combating the use of illegal drugs in the Philippines be brought in line with international best practices, namely in terms of prevention and alternative sanctions. We recommend that all extrajudicial killings be thoroughly investigated. We would also like to recommend the Philippines to consider establishing or strengthening the national mechanism responsible for implementation, reporting and follow-up in line with the critical elements best practices of OHCHR Global Study Guide concerning NMRFs. Finally, Portugal recommends ratification of International Convention on Protection of All Persons from Enforced Disappearance and the Optional Protocol of International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights. Thank you, Mr. President.
Qatar tiene el uso de la...
Qatar has the floor.
شكرا سيد الرئيس. يتقدم وفد بلادي بالشكر.
Thank you, President. My country's delegation greets and welcomes the delegation of the Philippines and commends it on its comprehensive report, which reflects the extent of efforts and the progress made in human rights, particularly in terms of economic, social and cultural rights. President, we would like to express our appreciation for the 2017-22 Action and Development Plan. This is the very first time that there has been a medium-term vision expressed, setting the scene for holistic development on the basis of human rights. Here we recommend that the Philippines redouble efforts to put in place environmental regulatory policy to ensure the implementation of this development plan. We also welcome the implementation of an assistance and protection program for children in the event of disasters, and we recommend further efforts to protect children against all risk of sexual exploitation or